This cop's been following me around. Come on, buddy. Come on. He's now behind my car. As you can see, come on. Come on, it's okay, come on.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Good. Do you have some ID?
Oh, what is that for, sir?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on today.
What's your name?
My name's Mike Stokes with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay, the Centennial?
Uh-huh.
Okay, what's your badge number?
8716.
Okay, yeah, I mean, what seems to be the problem?
Well, it's you parked here,
Yeah.
okay, and you walk down the park.
Public street.
The video begins with quiet tension already brewing. A man calmly documents what he believes is an officer following him through a neighborhood while he walks his dog and parks legally on a public street. Nothing appears threatening. No laws are being broken. Yet moments later, the officer approaches and immediately asks for identification without first explaining any crime or violation. That single request changes the tone of the encounter instantly. The citizen responds calmly, asking the most important constitutional question possible. What crime am I suspected of committing? Instead of providing a clear answer, the officer points to vague concerns about the man parking in the area and walking through the neighborhood. But parking legally and walking a dog are not crimes. The citizen respectfully pushes back, explaining that suspicion alone cannot justify detention or demands for identification. And from that moment forward, the encounter evolves into a live debate over constitutional authority and individual rights.
Anywhere I want, as long as I'm not blocking someone's driveway, right?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah, yeah, and then you see me walk up there,
So you walked up there.
and then I'm walking back over here.
Uh-huh.
And I was here yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get your name?
I don't think that I need to unless I've committed a crime or I'm suspected of a crime. You know, I mean, I just don't really understand what the problem was. I mean, I can understand somebody being nervous and making a call, but once you get here and you see, well, nothing's really going on that's illegal, I'm walking
I don't
my
know
dog.
that right now.
Well, yeah, but you have to have the actual evidence before you can just say, well, I don't know, I think you might have. That doesn't work like that. That's not how the law works, you know?
Oh, can you tell me how the law works?
Yeah, the law in Colorado states that I have to be under suspicion of a crime, either have committed one or I am about to. And you have to have reasonable suspicion that I am about to or have or something of that nature. Me parking on the side of the street, walking my dog, you've seen me talking to a neighbor over there. Nothing about that is illegal.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You're also obligated by law to provide identification when asked by law.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, so I have I don't think you understand how much of this I know or have been in.
Oh, I'm sure I do.
Okay, so the thing is that yes, by law, I am required to identify if there is suspicion of...
As the conversation deepens, the citizen begins explaining Colorado law directly to the officer. He calmly clarifies that failure to identify is not a standalone offense, but a secondary charge tied to a lawful detention based on reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. The distinction matters enormously. According to the citizen, police cannot simply demand identification because someone exists in public or because neighbors feel uncomfortable. There must first be articulable suspicion of a specific crime. The officer attempts to maintain authority, insisting identification is legally required, but the citizen refuses to surrender ground. He explains repeatedly that walking through a neighborhood, talking to residents, and parking on a public road are all lawful activities. What makes the encounter more concerning is how quickly additional officers begin arriving. A simple conversation transforms into a growing police presence, all centered around a man who has not been accused of committing any identifiable crime.
Sir, listen, failure to... Hey, no, it's just a guy, don't worry. Failure to ID is a secondary charge, meaning, hey, look, I just did this crime. Now you come up and say, I need your information, you're being charged with such and such a crime. I must identify myself at that point, and if I do not identify myself, at that point, I would get the secondary charge of failure to identify because I am lawfully arrested or being charged lawfully with a crime. At this point, that's not the case. I'm not being charged with the crime. I'm not even under suspicion of a crime. Suspicious activity in itself, which if that's what you're trying to call this, is not a crime. You know, I mean, I can understand, like I said.
Did I say that you've committed a crime?
Well, no, but you're asking for my ID saying that I am obligated. You said that I'm obligated, which is not correct.
Well, you're obligated to identify yourself.
Yeah, once I've been charged with the crime, sir. Yeah. That is how it works. I mean, if you'd like, and you want to take this any further, I'd request that you get a supervisor, please. And then we can go from there.
Do you want to do that?
Well, I mean, if you're going to leave and just leave me alone, obviously seeing that there's no crime, then no, have a great day type of thing. But if it is going to be something where you're going to try and take this any steps further, or you're going to lie to me and say that I'm obligated to identify myself, at that point I would like that you get a supervisor, please.
Adam, 31.
So you're going to take this far?
The atmosphere becomes noticeably heavier once multiple patrol units surround the citizen. Cameras begin recording from every direction as he goes live on his phone to document the encounter in real time. Though calm, his voice reveals understandable nervousness as he repeatedly asks officers a direct question. Am I being detained? And if so, for what crime? Instead of clear answers, he receives shifting explanations. At one point, officers reference suspicious behavior, only to later deny using that term. Then a new justification suddenly appears, a possible warrant allegedly connected to the vehicle. But even that explanation raises serious questions because the officers had not yet properly identified the individual. The logic behind the stop begins unraveling under scrutiny. Yet rather than de-escalating, officers begin discussing handcuffs and additional charges. What started as a casual encounter now feels increasingly coercive, built more on assumptions and pressure than on clearly articulated criminal suspicion.
No problem, no problem. And if you're lying to me, you're allowed to lie to me. That's very true. Hey guys, thanks for hopping in here. I'm live. I'm actually at work right now. I'm here with Officer Stokes. He's been professional at this point, but they have another unit en route. Hey, what's up, Taylin? Yeah, so I'm actually at work right now. I'm being stopped. They said that suspicious activity, something of that nature.
I never said suspicious activity.
Okay, maybe I manifested that on my own.
I think you manifested that.
Okay, well then how come it is that you're asking for my ID?
You're in the neighborhood, you're going door to door, you don't
Yeah.
have, all you have is interstate roofing
Yeah.
on your shirt.
And how is that leads you to believe that I'm required to give my identification? Hey, how are you doing today, sir? I'm doing all right. What's your name and badge number, please?
Deputy left side.
Okay, gotcha. Are you the supervisor?
No.
Oh, okay. Is this the supervisor? I got you. Yeah, so I mean, as you guys can see, I'm being surrounded right now. 3 patrol cars. Am I detained at this moment? Under suspicion of what crime?
Is this your car?
I'm not answering any questions at this point until a supervisor arrives. I will not be answering any questions. I think I provided enough as it is. So I'm being detained for what? You just said my car, but what crime are you suspecting me of committing at this point in time that you can lawfully detain me?
Okay, based on the data.
When the supervisor arrives, many viewers might expect the situation to calm down. Instead, the constitutional debate intensifies further. Officers now claim that simply walking through the neighborhood constitutes reasonable suspicion. The citizen immediately challenges that reasoning, reminding them that innocent until proven guilty remains a foundational principle of American law. He continues asserting that refusal to identify only becomes punishable when tied to a lawful detention based on suspected criminal conduct. Yet despite his repeated explanations, officers continue demanding identification while threatening secondary charges. The citizen never becomes physically aggressive. He never resists. He simply insists on understanding the legal basis for the detention before surrendering his rights. The encounter transforms into a larger conflict between constitutional literacy and institutional authority. And although the officers speak with confidence, confidence alone cannot replace the legal requirement for reasonable, articulable suspicion under the protections guaranteed by the Fourth Amendment.
I have used
Yep.
Coronado Reward for your arrest.
The database of what?
Okay? That's why you're being detained.
Okay.
Now, you're being cooperative with me,
Yes.
but if I feel that you're not going to be cooperative with me, I'll detain you in handcuffs.
Okay. Well, I honestly don't think there's any need for that.
I don't think so.
You know, I have no weapons on me, no ill will, no ill intent. The fact, first off, there's no probable cause to be running any license plate. Second off, you don't even know who I am at this point in time.
I do. Okay. Now I'm asking.
You have suspicion.
Right. Now I'm asking you for identification.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have reasonable suspicion now. This is my supervisor.
This is your supervisor. Hey, how's it going, man? How are you doing?
Good, yourself?
I am doing all right. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on here. We got a ton of police officers. I'm surrounded. I'm feeling pretty nervous right now. I'm at work, okay? I'm using this vehicle for work, and this officer, for some reason, feels that he has reasonable suspicion to be running plates around here or thinking about other stuff. I've committed no crime.
So yes.
Yeah, well, no, you actually have to have some sort of suspicion to actually be able to run it and go through that.
It's on public roadway.
Yeah. So what is? Yeah, I know, but there has been no crime at this point, so I'm not gonna give identification.
Suspicious person walking around the neighborhood.
Is not a crime. Suspicion in itself is not a crime. Yeah.
The contradictions within the stop become increasingly difficult to ignore. Officers explain that they can legally run license plates on vehicles parked in public, which is true. However, the citizen points out that running a plate does not automatically justify detaining a person without evidence of criminal activity. He continues repeating the same principle throughout the encounter. If lawfully arrested or charged with a crime, he will comply. But until then, he believes the Constitution protects his right to refuse identification. The supervisor insists that walking around the neighborhood and wearing work clothing somehow creates suspicion, yet no actual crime is ever identified. The citizen calmly records everything, emphasizing that asserting rights should never be treated as suspicious behavior. That point becomes central to the entire interaction. When exercising constitutional protections is interpreted as defiance, ordinary police encounters risk transforming into unnecessary confrontations fueled more by authority than by law.
No, that's the problem. He doesn't. What is the reason? What is the reasonable suspicion, sir?
That you're walking around this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you say you're at work. So you need to prove to us in some way that you're...
No, see, that's actually the problem. You guys have to prove that I have done something wrong. Innocent until proven guilty, right?
I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm just filming for my protection, just as the other officers are filming for their protection. Yeah.
For identification.
Yeah.
If you don't relinquish that identification, it could be an additional charge.
No, see, that's a secondary charge, sir.
You have a possible warrant for your arrest.
That is besides the point at this point, because no. See, you guys have to prove that I have done something wrong. See, sir, the law works that you're innocent until proven guilty. So for you to say that I'm going to get a charge for that.
That's only for probable cause arrest.
Yeah, so what I'm saying right now is the fact that you guys are just telling me that I'm going to get a charge for not identifying. That's a secondary charge. For me to identify, I have to be suspected of committing a crime. I have to be suspected of committing some sort of infraction. I am not going to give that, sir, unless I am being lawfully arrested. Is that what's happening?
That's what's happening.
Okay, can you put that down?
After hours of pressure, legal arguments, and escalating police presence, the encounter quietly collapses. No arrest is made. No charges are filed. No crime is identified. The citizen is ultimately released after standing firm on his understanding of constitutional protections. And that ending reveals the most important lesson of all. Law enforcement absolutely has the authority to investigate legitimate criminal activity and run vehicle information on public roads. But constitutional boundaries still exist. The Fourth Amendment requires clear, articulable suspicion before detention can lawfully occur. Throughout the encounter, officers repeatedly struggled to define exactly what crime they believe had taken place. Meanwhile, the citizen consistently remained calm, informed, and focused on the legal standards governing police authority. This incident ultimately becomes larger than one traffic stop or one disagreement. It becomes a reminder that constitutional rights only remain meaningful when ordinary citizens understand them, document encounters, and refuse to surrender them under pressure.